When a solitary queen bumblebee finally wakes up from her long winter hibernation, the surrounding Earth is still completely frozen solid. Her energy reserves are nearly gone, and her biological clock is instantly ticking. She has only a matter of days to find a high-calorie fuel source. If she fails to power her flight and begin her nest, her entire genetic line ends in the cold dirt. She might emerge in the middle of a massive commercial apple orchard, surrounded by millions of potential flowers. But for now, those trees are bare wood. They won't open for weeks. This gap in the calendar is the spring vacuum, the lethal window between the spring thaw and the start of the agricultural bloom, where the landscape offers almost zero food. If the local pollinator workforce starves in March, the farm enters the main bloom without its primary laborers. Without those early survivors, the final yield is severely compromised. The deadly spring vacuum only breaks once the frozen topsoil finally warms up and reaches exactly 5 degrees Celsius. While other spring plants are waiting to germinate from seed, one organism relies on a thick, fleshy taproot that survived the winter freeze. It holds a deep reserve of stored carbohydrates, allowing it to bypass the slow growth phase required by its neighbors. Using that energy, it unrolls a flat rosette of leaves against the ground and pushes a single, bright yellow flower head straight into the sunlight. In this narrow seasonal window, the dandelion is the highest volume fuel source available, producing dense nectar and pollen when the rest of the landscape is empty. Ecologically, this plant functions as a first responder, patching a lethal temporal wound in the landscape. When the starving queen locates this bloom, the transaction is immediate. This nectar gives her the raw caloric energy to fly, while the pollen delivers the protein required to lay her first eggs. This single meal buys the queen the exact week she needs to establish her brood. This chart maps native queen bees waking against available food sources. While honeybees lack certain amino acids here, generalist bumblebees rely on this plant. Its bloom window seamlessly aligns with the queen's vulnerable period, ending as apple blossoms open. The dandelion provides the exact temporal bridge required to keep the farm's invisible workforce alive. The dandelion manages to support these pollinators without actually requiring their help in return. It reproduces through apomixis. As a triploid clone, the plant generates hundreds of identical genetic copies, packing them into parachute seeds, bypassing the need for pollinators. These seeds drift on the wind, looking for one specific invitation: bare, disturbed soil. Modern farming practices, running heavy tractors, tilling the fields, and mowing grass, actually accelerate this cycle. Every mechanical action that tears up the earth builds the exact landing pad those seeds require to germinate. The human effort to manage the landscape is what triggers the plant's relentless deployment. There is a multi-billion-dollar agricultural and turf care industry dedicated exclusively to eliminating broadleaf ground cover like this. In the mid-20th century, the pristine monoculture lawn became a status symbol. It redefined our relationship with the ground, making any competing plant a target. Chemical herbicides were designed to wipe these early bloomers from farm edges, prioritizing a clean aesthetic over the biological needs of the local ecosystem. Every chemical spray cycle kills the biological bridge for the pollinators, while simultaneously creating the bare, disturbed soil that invites the next generation of clones. By funding the endless destruction of these plants, the agricultural sector is effectively dismantling its own foundational infrastructure. By late summer, the orchard is transformed. The bare wood of spring has been replaced by a heavy, profitable fruit yield. This end product is what we celebrate. We track the labor and the volume of fruit, but the biological origin point is often forgotten. We can quantify the massive economic value of these harvested bins, yet that ledger ignores the invisible labor of the early spring ecosystem. We meticulously measure our crops, but our accounting system overlooks the ecological bridges that make those crops possible.